Welcome, everyone. This will be an unscripted, unscheduled, unrehearsed program tonight. This is Our Android Week with Alan Furstenberg in New York, Bruce Turner in Lynchburg, Virginia, Duke Carrico in Kingsport, Tennessee, Cadeas Kalut in Newport Beach, California, and in Menifee, California, Pam Adger. This is Our Android Week. Good to have you with us. Thanks. I am Dan McDermott, the host of the program, the self-appointed leader of the group. Let me turn them on. Okay. Tomorrow, this program is live on Monday night. Tomorrow, a big Apple thing is going to happen, and they're going to talk about iOS stuff and a long-rumored iWatch or some sort of iOS watch. And one of the biggest topics in all of Android thus far has been Android watches. The Moto 360 has finally hit Best Buy, and we've heard mixed reviews. The one review I saw was very complimentary in it, and then they casually mentioned toward it that his watch or his Moto 360 gets less battery life than his phone. That is not acceptable in any way to me. Alan, let's begin, and we've got this chart. You could screen share that if you want, or I can put it up. But the bottom line is, where are we on Android watches? And you have experience with an LG G, and I guess with the Moto 360 you're about to, and you've got glass, so you can compare those two as ancillary devices to a phone. And also, should people buy a watch now? If so, which one? Or should they wait for them to finally get the kinks out? What's the status of the watch ecosystem, the watcho system, the watchometer? I don't know what to call it.
Well, I mean, considering that we had 2 watches that are out so far, and now, after the announcements and everything else yesterday, and by 2 watches out, I mean 2 Android Wear watches. And now, after last week's announcements, we have 4 or 5 either out or in the pipeline, that have been fully announced. We've got, an interesting selection to come from, and almost certainly most of these manufacturers will probably have yet something else out by November. I wouldn't be surprised. But the big news is the Moto 360 hit store shelves. People are picking it up at Best Buy. They've ordered it from Best Buy. All of the I/O attendees got their announcement that theirs are shipping, assuming they were in a country that could get them. So those will be showing up sooner rather than later, like within the next couple of days. We've got announcements that Asus has a watch coming, and we've got announcements that LG has their next watch coming, and that the LG G watch was kind of a demonstration model, and the real version is coming.
That's not the way it was portrayed initially when they asked people to buy it.
No, was it?
They didn't say it was the G Explorer Edition, did they? They said it was $200, and this is the watch.
And, if the price actually drops, then it'll really be a lot like the Glass Explorer Edition. But somehow I don't think that's what's going to happen.
We are going to see price drops in these. We're going to see a race to the bottom. There'll be a watch for $49 at Best Buy or $29 with Android Wear.
You'd think so, but right now, everyone, even Sony, Sony's watch, I think it was Sony's watch anyway. Cadeas, did you see Sony's watch? I looked at this and wondered, if the cheap $20 watches of the 1980s were back. Because it looked like crap. It looked like this cheap plastic thing.
To be
Remember,
the
I've
ugly...
been saying the whole time that this was going to happen, that we were going to go back to this Super Mario World style watch that's just going to come out, and so it's just why you start laughing, Dan? I'm serious. That's
I know.
really
I'm just saying, it's quite an accomplishment.
I had one of those.
Look, we got to give Sony kudos because the race to have the ugliest of the Android Wear watches out there is some stiff competition. If Sony's won that prize, kudos to them.
I think not only did they get it hands down, they got it with a rather expensive watch.
Oh my god!
I mean, it's not cheap.
Oh,
just cheap looking.
We should have brought Craig Ship on just for this special episode, except he's with some hula hooping chick friend of ours. Yeah, so I was so stoked to get this 360, but if the battery doesn't last as long as my phone,
well,
that's
here's
a
the
deal
thing.
killer.
What
How many
what it
cords?
sounds
At some
like-
point, it's a fire hazard. You know, how many cords can you have on your bed?
Well, there's two things right there. For starters, I'm going to play a Craig Ship and say that it actually does have a reasonable battery life if you turn off some of the defaults. Why it didn't ship with those turned off by default, I'm not sure. I mean, it's got an ambient light detector, but that's turned off by default? What idiot came up with that idea? So supposedly there are ways that you actually get, if you give it some reasonable settings, and these are not stupid settings, these are reasonable settings, you get 24 hours like you're getting on the other watches. So
Another
I think
thing to point out is that it's not that far. The battery life isn't that far from the LG GG. I mean, so
well,
I
it's
mean-
not, except for the fact that by default they've got features turned on that are battery killers.
right.
I mean, I've seen people talking about the LGG watches battery life being 6 hours.
So
And when you
then,
ask them what they're running on it, they're running all sorts of crap.
well, then why would you even bother developing for a watch that you have to turn off all the settings? What fucking good is it if you can't use it?
No, it's because it's not you turn off all the settings or you don't run anything. It's that you turn off, it's that they turned it with default settings on when they should have been off.
So example, Pam, like when you like when the watch comes out of the box, the brightness is set all the way up to high. That would be an example of a setting that didn't need to be, that was set that way by default.
As opposed to it being set to actually detect the surrounding light.
Right.
I think this is a key thing, and Pam is sort of the Barbara Billingsley in Airplane version here. I'm gonna do the different version here. My goodness gracious, why in the heavens would they produce this watch where all the default settings are draining the life out of the product, literally and figuratively? And
Well, look, the Moto
it
360
caused
has
me to
other
weep
problems.
tears of sadness because now I no longer want my Moto 360. How is that, Pam? Is that a reasonable translation? See, Pam speaks jive, and luckily I'm bilingual. I can be a jive turkey, and at the same time, only old people will get this joke, and they'll be falling off the chairs laughing, and the young people will be like, "What is this moron saying?" Alan, that's a serious point that Pam makes. So why would they? The only saving grace is that Android Wear is really locked down, and everyone has to obey rules and have the same product. So really, it doesn't matter as far as the guts inside, the software interface, the UI. It's going to be the same everywhere. So it is a race to come up with the best hardware at the lowest price and a beautiful looking thing. But functionally, they're all the same, correct?
Well,
With a few extra added
not
apps
exactly.
and stuff.
So-
Like if one's more
so-
for fitness, they might have a thing. Go ahead, Pam.
If let's say that I'm a
Baba.
normal person who goes outside the house during the daylight hours and the sun
Hypothetically.
is shining,
Well,
right?
there's-
You
there's
need
another-
you need your screen turned up in order to see anything in the sun.
There's
Right?
another. No, Pam. There's another great example. By default, the Moto 360 shows the time all the time, as opposed to turning on the feature which it has, which only shows it when you're looking at it. So you don't.
So it's not development related. It's just they have stupid features turned on by default, Pam. It's not because it sucks.
Right. Well, it does, but for other reasons.
Right.
I mean, this is a case where a reasonable default setting would have been don't show the time when the person isn't looking at it. And yet that's turned off. If they turned it on, which you can do, it's not even like the feature isn't there, it would make sense. But they left it with stupid default settings. I agree with you, Pam. I mean, don't get me wrong, I agree with you, but for some reason they gave it stupid defaults, and I don't know why. My only guess would be that this is what would look cool out of the box, and they didn't think about that people would notice. I mean, come on.
Was it overcompensation for the underwhelming reception that the first Samsung watch got? So is this an overreaction to that?
No, what I think it was is I think it was hubris. I think they had everyone like you saying, "Oh, the only important thing is that it needs a round face, and so it's going to be it'll be good because of that." So they weren't paying attention to a lot of other details.
I could not be more disappointed. You guys literally were making fun of me because I was like a schoolgirl with pom-poms cheering this. I, could not have been more enthusiastic, waiting to stand in line to buy my 360, and now I'm totally not going to buy it. I mean, this is a big letdown for me. If the damn thing doesn't go a day with a battery, are you kidding me?
That's not Dan.
That's only one of the
least of the
things.
Moto 360's problems.
I don't
And
know.
furthermore,
I mean,
Dan, it does go more than a day. You just need to set your settings correctly how you would normally use it and not the way they wanted to make it look. Which, honestly, a software update, if they just go ahead and do a software update, they can solve that problem because the LG fresh out of the box had a software update. And so they could easily just say, okay, here, we got a software update. Let's put the settings how they should be. And then that squashes that whole deal.
Yeah, most
because
products.
you get 2 days out of your watch at least, Alan? Because you got the LG GG, right? And so you get, you have the LG GG, right? So do you get 2 days out of your watch if you forget to charge it? Because I do.
I usually get about a day, a little over a day.
Yeah. Oh my God. Another thing you got to plug in at night and hope it doesn't burn your freaking house down.
Well, just plug it into your computer, Dan. That's what I do. USB to the
But then
computer.
it takes longer unless you got.
Your sleep. It doesn't. The time doesn't matter.
No, Dan, here's the thing. The watch it charges ridiculously fast.
Well, there's that. What's the milliamps on the battery?
For the LG
Table-
GG is 400 milliamps.
Oh, that's nothing. Yeah, that would charge fast because my Note 2 is like 1300 or something. So that a third of
Yeah,
that.
your note's bigger than that.
Yeah, the G Watch
Or
is
16
400 milliamps. The Moto 360 is 320 milliamp hours. Sorry. The new LG G Watch R is 410 milliamp hours. The Asus watch is 369 milliamp hours. Where did they come up with that one?
Now, Alan, I would have expected such a comment from Pam, but yeah. So at some point, we're gonna look like the Terminator with the skin removed. I don't know. I'm kind of bummed out because I was like a big cheerleader for these things.
Once again, Dan, you're focusing on the battery and you're missing the bigger picture of what's wrong with the Moto 360.
What's the main big picture that I'm missing?
It's
Yeah.
not round.
Didn't they make a big thing that it was round?
Yeah.
And it's not actually round. I mean, round is
The
not
watch,
like
the watch face is round, but it has this little line at the bottom of it.
it's like pregnant. You are or not. There's no gray. It is or
It's
it's
more
not round. Why'd they say it was round? It's not round.
It's more like, the Moto 340.
Oh my God, that's epic.
So why are you bashing on the bottom of the watch? Like why is that so bad to you?
It's so bad to me because here it was, they talk about how revolutionary it is, how important the style and the design was, and here they come out with a half-assed screen and try to justify it. If you're talking about looks, you got to be talking about looks, and that includes a round watch face should be round.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and let me share my screen. Someone,
This is a great picture. I know what you're going to say.
right, and all right, give me a second. Let me share my screen. So my question is what would you rather have? Because I mean that's kind of where you're at. You're kind of stuck between this or this.
And realizing that one of those is an actual picture and the other one is a mock-up. Let's remember that.
Yeah, okay, but it's still almost exactly what the other
Which
one
is
looks like.
which?
Yep.
Well, which would you
Moto
rather
360
have?
is the one that has the line at the bottom.
Say again. You broke up.
The Moto 360 is the one that looks like someone took a pair of scissors to the bottom of it.
Looks like shit.
So which would you rather have, Dan? Would you rather have a big bezel, or would you rather have what you see here?
Neither.
Well, first of all, tell us what's the purpose of the cut area. What's going on there?
To my understanding, it was that they had to cram a lot of tech somewhere, and so that's where they crammed it at. That was my understanding of it.
The way it's been described to me is they needed some place to put the connection to the screen, and that's where they put the connection to the screen.
Whereas this other one is basically solving that problem with the big bezel.
Is that an actual picture of one? Because it looks awful. It looks like it's not even smoothly cut.
The graphics, the graphic image looks like it's a little bit jagged. It's supposedly a very, very smooth cut. It looks reasonable.
So Dan, you would literally pick the left. You would pick the one with the bigger bezel as opposed to the
No,
cut.
I said neither. Neither one of those appeals to me. But then that's a plain black bezel. They could have put some diamonds or lines, or you know what I mean. They could have put the lines that are
they
inside
did.
the bezel
The LG
out on the
are-
bezel itself and made it a little more stylistic. God forbid they should have a watch that looks good.
Well, the LGGR, they put the little, what do you call that thing, where it's got the dial and you can rotate it. They put that on there in place of the bezel, but it's still a thick bezel and less screen.
Well, there's some compromises. I mean, look at the shit on your face, right? I mean, you know, it's this gigantic
Oh my God,
Borg-looking
here we go.
thing.
You're
That's
the
a
only
first.
person that feels that way, Dan.
Okay, that's why there's people standing around the building waiting to buy one, even though it's in the Play Store now, and I've never ever seen one in the wild except for my geek friends on TV.
How many? You know what? How many LGG watches have you seen in the wild?
0. I've seen no smartwatches whatsoever in the wild.
So you've seen just as many Glass as G watches.
Well, I also live in the woods, surrounded by witches. I mean, you know,
And Glass has been out for almost 3 years.
I've never ever seen a single pair. How many of you? Well, Pam, you're in California, so you probably seen them.
Almost 3 years.
Right?
Just over 1 year.
Not even one. And technically, it didn't come out until what, last week?
And time is the
So-
only
What,
reason.
Glass?
Yeah, you can buy that in the Play Store now. It's available for everybody.
Came out
Yeah,
the
it was
last
so
year.
exclusive that the chick who said I'd cut a bitch on Twitter was accepted in, and so it was a really tough challenge to get on the list.
Okay, can we actually talk?
Getting
Well,
into the
I've
Civil War.
I've actually seen it in the wild twice, and
You're in
I've seen Kadeus
California.
wearing it every single time that I've met up with him, and Alan was wearing it when I met up with him. But as far as complete strangers wearing them, I've seen it twice.
I think volunteering for the Civil War was more difficult than getting Glass. Any other comments on the incredible overnight success of these Android watches?
Kadeus, to answer your question about which of the two would I pick, aside from the fact that I might still pick a rectangular or square one, I might consider the Asus one, which is actually looking pretty stylish for being a rectangular one. I think you've got to ask yourself the question, if you're going to make a round watch, shouldn't you make a round watch? That's my problem with the Moto 360, is
Maybe they
they
should
were
come up with a
hyping
different
how
name than a
significant
round
this
watch.
technology was, and they made it a laughing stock.
The best name is the Moto 340. I mean, I got to give props to Alan. Where
I
props
got to
are
give
due.
props to my boss who called it that.
Oh, Trolling. All right. Anything else?
So I think the executive summary is going to be, I think Wear's got a lot of potential. One of the other things that was announced last week are some major changes that are coming to Wear. No big surprise to any of them, really, particularly if you kind of were wondering what Apple's going to be announcing tomorrow. You just need to look at what Google announced last week. Beyond that, it's a solid technology. I know what Pam feels about it, and that's okay. I think the hardware developers really need to get a clue, though. They really need to be smacked upside the head with a 2x4.
I think this gets to what I've said from the beginning, that companies like Seiko and Rolex and Swatch and whoever's making watches that are popular, we have to wait for them to come out. People who have, for a century or more been designing classic timepieces.
I'm sorry, people are making watches that are popular? There are popular watches?
There are, among...
I haven't worn a watch since the Super Mario World watch.
Among the Craig Ship Jet Set crowd, there are popular brands that make classic designer watches, and they still...
But that doesn't make
them
it
to team up with
Yeah.
BlackBerry to make a watch.
There are more watches sold than Gulfstream private jets, for example, so they're beating some segments.
Dan.
What I'm saying is people who make classic timepieces, and I don't wear a watch.
Okay,
I
but
was
Dan,
waiting-
then you run into the problem of the people who make the classic timepieces don't understand the technology of today.
I
so
think that they
you're
could-
gonna have to give and take.
I'm hoping that some of them will get in bed with geeks like you, and boy, that could be a YouTube moment, and
God.
come up with something that actually looks good and is adopting this technology. I think
Right,
Android
but
Wear is
in
going to
exchange,
win.
they have to have little lines going across like the 340.
I appreciate you illustrating what a line is there.
Right.
We like visual aids. Little C-SPAN in all of us. Okay, so... All right, so we're all just... Could not be more excited about the current crop of Android Wear devices out there. And obviously, we're going to trounce whatever garbage that Apple comes up with tomorrow. Any predictions on that? We're going to look like idiots, guaranteed, whatever you say, but any predictions on... there's rumors of an iWatch and even some leaked images. And of late, we've seen that some of the leaked images are accurate when the announcement happens. But tomorrow's big announcement, and Craig Ship is going to do a Hangout on Air tomorrow. I think Cadeas might be in it, and they're going to be reviewing what's going to happen. But what is this? We've been dissing this crop. If Apple comes out with the iWatch or whatever they call it, if they come out with some sort of wearable device, what is the crop of Android watches going to look like compared to that, would you guess, Cadeas? Obviously, you're wildly predicting here on a limb, which is why I'm bringing it up, so we can use this as a blooper reel later. And you're muted.
And you're muted now.
Honestly, I don't have a prediction.
That was
I
a
think Apple's
strategic
still-
muting.
I think I already consider Apple being 2 years behind everybody else, if not more.
Maybe not in
Um,
this case.
Either I see them catching up, maybe still straddling behind, or I don't see them, unless they can blow us all away, but I don't see them passing anybody up. I still see them as being 2 years behind. And I think,
Cadeas, here's the thing, though. When music players were all the hit, and Apple said they were going to release one, everyone said, oh, Apple's 2 years behind. And all of those music players don't exist anymore.
well,
I know you're not dissing my
Apple-
Zune, Alan. Are
When
you
rumors
dissing my
were coming
Zune?
out that Apple was going to release a phone, everyone was saying, Apple's years behind the competition. There's no way they can do anything.
Well, there is a difference. Both
Yeah,
of
the
those
difference-
both of those examples that you mentioned had one thing attached to it: Steve Jobs. That's not attached to this anymore. So
Let's
we're
not kid
gonna-
ourselves,
I-
Cadeas. There's a strong potential that if they introduce an iWatch tomorrow, there's a potential that it might kick ass, right?
Okay, so let me ask you this, Dan. What do you think that they could bring to the table in a smartwatch that would trump everything that's out there right now?
Something that's not ugly, something that lasts a few days without having to walk around with cables strapped to you like the people at Walmart with the oxygen tanks and the little moving chairs. I'm serious.
All
I
right.
got to Dan on this one.
Did I just have my
Okay.
Don Imus moment? Is this going to be replayed and I'm going to be fired from my own show?
No, you're absolutely right. And not only that, but what the hell does it do? I mean,
I'm totally for the
seriously,
notification.
Hey, no, hang on, Pam.
I can turn on the volume here and get notifications on my phone in my purse. I don't need a watch to tell me that Dan wants me to watch some video
Right.
of some guy, giving the female reporter a wet willy with a dildo on camera. I don't need I don't need a watch to do that,
But you like the video.
It was great.
That's one of those things. Some of Pam's best posts are actually off the record shared from me. I was like, I can't share this, but this is hilarious.
I honestly do not know what they could, because I've been thinking about this. Because
No, wait, are we talking about the watch or the dildo now, Cadeas?
Oh God, I honestly don't know what you're talking about. So, but no, I honestly,
It was actually a vibrator, okay? It took a battery.
I honestly don't know what they would.
Are they rechargeable batteries? And if not, how long do they last?
Dear God. I honestly don't know what they could bring to the table that would change anything.
How many
Honestly,
milliamps are the
mobile payments,
vibrators,
I don't-
Cadeas, is the question.
Say-
How many
say it again?
how many milliamp hours does the vibrator have? Is what we're trying to figure out here.
That's an Alan question, actually, because I don't know milliamp hours. I only know milliamps. So.
Milliamps per hour.
So, but no, I don't know what they could bring.
It said milliamp hours. I don't know. MAH. What does MAH stand for?
Milliamps
I
per
don't know.
hour, right?
Not per hour.
Milliamp hours. That was close.
Anyway, to answer your question, Cadeas, they could do there are probably two things that they could do that would literally smack the current crop of Wear phones upside the head. They could be stylish, and by stylish I don't mean that they look like every other watch out there. I would imagine something more looking like a fitness band, probably because the rest of the device would be oriented around being a fitness band. That would be one. Two, if somehow they give it a serious life, so that it would be able to be worn while a person sleeps, and they would do something like recharge it at work, I think that would really turn things on its head, because that's not what people are expecting. On the other hand, if they don't do those things, if they have something that has a battery life that is pathetic, even more pathetic than the Moto 360's battery life, or if they have something that really looks like a watch, I think they're going to be hurting. They've got to do something that knocks people's socks off, and what that is a really good question.
Don't they have a history of waiting and
gonna-
waiting and waiting and testing and coming out with something that is expensive but beautiful and well built and does all the things you'd want with occasional missteps? But let's
Well,
not kid
yeah,
ourselves.
the problem is they've been misstepping a lot more recently.
And the only other thing is if they were to do anything that's going to be spectacular, it's probably going to be centered around, like you said, the fit kit or whatever they call the health kit or whatever they call it. I mean, that would be the only thing that they could focus on, that I know of, that they could focus on and do better than everybody else.
Won't this be
That's
the
it.
first major new thing that Apple's come out with under the Cook administration?
Since the iPad.
Right?
Since the iPad, basically.
But it's the first big new thing under Tim Cook for sure. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing that, and remember, Cook was sort of the right-hand man and Steve Jobs' chosen successor. What Cook did He was in charge of logistics. He was the guy who went out and negotiated with Foxconn and these companies and created the whole industrial chain to make the stuff in China, bring it over, and that was Cook's doing. He was the guy on the ground making that happen, and Jobs was the visionary, and Cook was out there in the field. He was the main logistics guy. He said, "I need 150 million of these things. I need them on this date. I don't want anybody to know exactly what we're doing. I need you to make it happen. I want to do it cheaper, and I want it to be excellent and sell it at a premium." Cook made all that happen. So I'm guessing this is not going to be a joke product. I'm guessing this is going to be a kick-ass product because he knows that everyone's going to say what I just said on CNBC, on Fox Business, on CNN, on Fox and MSNBC. They're going to be saying this is the first big thing that's come out under Tim Cook that has probably been 60-70% engineered under him and 30% under Jobs, and that he's going to make damn sure it's good. And if it's good, then he's going to get the credit. Go ahead, Alan.
No, Dan, all the Wall Street pundits are saying and have that this is going to be a flop against him.
Based on what? They think the watch is going to suck?
Yep.
Based on speculation or based on leaks about the specs or
Oh, come on.
appearance?
This is Wall Street. They don't base it on anything besides bullshit. But you were saying, this is what MSNBC, this is what CNBC and all these guys are going to be saying. No, what they're saying is that they've already called it a flop.
Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, he could take a shit on stage and put an Apple logo on it, and there'll be lines wrapped around the building to buy it,
Yeah, I know
feces.
the pundits will say that it was a flop.
But the numbers won't. I mean, will determine. If it's a great product, he'll get the credit. If it's a crappy product, he'll get the blame, and that's the way it should be because he's overseen it and he's approved the release of it. The fish rots from the head first, or succeeds that way. Are we done on watches? Can we
Well,
go?
I think the one other thing, Cadeas, that we might see from Apple tomorrow is some integration with home automation, because that's another big thing. But we're going to have to see something big.
Yeah, it's got to be big because they haven't done any. I mean, all they have is a platform. They haven't done anything, whereas Google has a platform that already has stuff in it. So it has to be a big play. I just feel like they're too far behind to pass up anybody. That's what I honestly believe. I just feel like they're too far behind to pass up. And hey, I could be wrong tomorrow. I could be wrong, but usually I'm pretty right on this stuff.
I don't know. That's dangerous. That's like saying Android is too far behind the iPhone to surpass it.
So I'm talking about for tomorrow. I don't think that they're ready. I honestly don't think that they're ready.
I'll tell you what. If this thing, we'll see. We'll find out, and we're gonna definitely look like idiots, whatever happens, because we're sitting here, less than 24 hours. It's 12. It's 15 hours until the thing starts, and I'm sure all of us have said something inaccurate, except Pam, who's the wisest amongst us, who's remained silent on this one, because she knows in 15 hours the truth is going to come out, and most of our views come after the show, so we'll really look like idiots, right? But the bottom line is that this could actually impact Android iOS sales, because if they do knock it out of the ballpark and come up with the badass watch, you will see people switching at the end of their contract to an iPhone from an Android phone specifically because it plays well with this watch. If this is all that, so I think there are some stakes here. And I know Cadeas is looking forward to Friday. Apparently, I'm looking at these notes here. Okay, so we always love to troll our friends at Amazon, and this story, apparently and I like Amazon, and I'm an Amazon Prime member, and I regularly spend lots and lots of money on Amazon. It's the best and worst thing in the world because you can just click, and buy. But apparently the Fire phone is now 99 cents with a 2-year deal. And
this is quite literally a fire sale.
Is it a better product than the HP? What was the Slate? What was it called? The HP Slate, right? that they ended up like paying you $10 if you took it from the store just to get it out of there. Um, you, who would buy this product? Who would buy this phone? It doesn't have the Play Store. You can't use Google Apps. There's some kludgy email program that will work with Gmail, but it's not Gmail. It's just, why on earth would you surrender all the best things about Android in exchange for apps that some stupid 3D thing that you're going to play with for 2 days and abandon and never use again? I don't understand.
I have an answer. I have an answer for you on that, Dan.
Please.
I was thinking about this today, actually. The perfect person for this phone is a person who is finally leaving the BlackBerry. That's the perfect person for this, because that platform is dumbed down, watered down. It's unfortunately it's sandboxed in a way like the BlackBerry was, but it still has some access to Android. It's a good introductory phone to somebody who is leaving the iPhone. They're not really interested in Windows Phone. They don't want BlackBerry, but they don't want the iPhone or anything like that. Like this, so this is one step in to the Android interface. It's a good one. Like if my grandmother was starting out and she had a basic flip phone, I would have no problem putting her in this Amazon phone.
And it's going to be, it's got that, exactly, it's an entry-level device. And it's got that, I don't know what they call it, the Mayday thing built in, right? It's got the 24/7 tech support thing, right?
True. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this might
But
be the,
that's a very niche audience. That's a really, really small audience.
that's fine. That's good for Amazon because that means that there's low cost because not many people are using it. But at the same time, it's a big PR coup because they can advertise this great service where if you have a problem, you just click one button and you're on with someone who speaks your language and wherever you are, and they can guide you through. And so that's a big thing. And I just got a tweet from Brad. I guess I'm supposed to officially book you for Tech Webcast for next week. So I guess you're going to disappear from this program and have to Skype in to Australia. This will be your first Australian appearance in several weeks, I think, right? You don't normally do talk shows in Australia. I'm just kidding. I literally got, So I think techwebcast.info. I think he's already got your picture up. Your thumbnail there. We'll see. All right, so it's a fun show. You'll like it. And Scoble and I think Elgin's been on there. Everyone's been on there. I think Sergey and Larry regularly appear. It's basically the show to be on, so you should be honored. You'll probably charge me double for your appearances here afterward. It's going to be epic. All right, so any other thoughts on anybody else want to talk about this Amazon Fire Phone?
Well, it's good that it's $1.
It's better. What was it? $100 before or 200? How much was it?
200. So that's good that it went down to the $1. But my question is, do you still get Amazon Prime for free? maybe that's a good reason to buy it. You spend $1 and get Amazon Prime.
Well, it's $1 with contract.
Still.
Contract with who?
AT&T.
AT&T.
At
Pam.
At.
Oh man.
Yeah, AT&T gets all the exclusive crappy phones, don't they?
Said that about the iPhone, Alan. Your words, not mine.
Like I said, AT&T gets all the crappy exclusives, don't they?
Oh man.
Okay, so what about these fake cell phone towers? This came out. This was some sort of thing. I guess the Cryptophone 500. It's a BlackBerry phone, right? But what is it? It's something that for these people who are these Edward Snowden types who are like obsessed about the government's watching me, and they buy gold and have storable foods and listen to AM radio, living in their parents' basements with their Star Trek figurines, celebrating their virginity, thinking that anything on the internet's private. So apparently some of these guys have discovered these fake cell towers installed by local police departments that if they're looking for a suspect, it behaves like a cell tower, but all it does is track your location so that they can suddenly find you at apartment 12 on 7th Street. And this has become a thing. So, any thoughts on this? This was kind of a interesting. It doesn't at all surprise me, and I'm not necessarily against it. I just thought it was interesting. Any thoughts on this? So that's our panel's view there.
There's 17 of them across the United States. How much could they possibly well, according to the article, okay, so let me backtrack. I haven't personally gone out and done any investigation. Most of them are in Southern California, Nevada, and Arizona. And then there are a few scattered throughout the rest of the country. Ooh. So, what are they checking on? It's not like they're lined up across the southern border. It's not, what.
Here's my thing, Pam, and let me get your view on this. If these things were being used nefariously, if it was an outrageous breach, like the IRS going after certain specific groups on a partisan basis, that's obviously outrageous, and that came out. But if they were leaking your photos, a la this alleged iCloud breach or something like that, we're not seeing stories about that. Basically, if you're a bank robber or whatever, a terrorist or some sort of criminal, and the cops are using this to find you and remove you from killing other people or whatever, I have no problem with that. We're not. My only concern would be if I had a business, if I had a text conversation with my attorney, or one of them. I got 3 of them now. But if I had a conversation with my attorney and that leaked on the internet, right? Then I would be like, oh my God. But if I was like selling drugs or plotting a bank robbery or a murder, and this technology were used against me, well, that's what they're supposed to do, right? So I have no problem with that. And I don't see these things being abused. In fact, I see that on the local level, by and large, this technology and similar technologies are being used in a more responsible manner than some of the things I see on the national level, which is a whole separate topic I don't want to get into. But I mean, I don't feel that this is a big thing because we're not seeing like leaks of personal data or anything like that. And at some point, the Boston Marathon thing happened, and we all wanted the guys to get caught right away, and they got to have some kind of, any tools at their disposal to get those guys. How can we on the one hand say like, I hope we get these guys as soon as possible, and the other hand say like, I want to cripple the agencies for being able to do their job, and I want everyone to know all the tools at their disposal so that these guys from the Caucasus can bypass those things. I mean, there's an what's the word I'm looking for? Incongruity? Oh my God, I'm having a George W. Bush moment here. Nuclear. There's a nuclear issue here.
Incongruity.
Incongruity. I was emphasizing the wrong thing. But you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't see abuse of these things.
I don't know if it's actually what they're saying it is. I mean, it's more likely that it's some sort of interference. It's near military bases, and there's probably the ones that are in Nevada and stuff are probably near the nuclear waste dump and stuff. I mean, I don't know. I like I said, I haven't charted it or any of that stuff. I just briefly looked at the article, but this is all speculation. No one has come forward with any information, and again, it's just, well, it does this, it does that, and it doesn't do this, and it could be used for this, that, and the other thing. If and or when someone owns up to it, then we'll figure out what it is. Until then, it's just something else for people to create theories about. Is that
Yeah.
diplomatic enough?
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, my dad was a U.S.
I'm
diplomat.
not going to put on the tinfoil hat. I'm just not.
You know, I got to tell you, when the Edward Snowden stuff came out, I was like, whoa, that's wild. But at the same time, I lived for 2 years in Monrovia, Liberia, in Mamba Point, right? I mean, I'm talking Ebola Central, right at the center of this Ebola outbreak. I lived there for 2 years. I lived in Islamabad, Pakistan as a child. I lived in all the, some crazy places, London, England. And I have seen some of this stuff. I've seen some of these crazy people. I've seen people beat to death in front of me. I've seen extremists, communists with megaphones screaming out, death to America and stuff. I've seen this with my own eyes. And so I understand the threats we have. And I remember 9/11, and I was shocked at some of the Edward Snowden stuff. At the same time, I think back to our desire to protect ourselves and how placated and how innocent we seem here in the United States and how safe we are. And then people want their cake and they want to eat it too. They want to be left alone. They don't want any privacy violations. But at the same time, we don't want another 9/11. And the government's trying to figure out how to do this. And it's hard. And sometimes they've screwed up. Sometimes they've overstepped. But I don't want another bombing. I don't want another 9/11. And it's uncharted territory. So we'll see how this all plays out. Anything else in our flipbook thing of note that we should talk about? Okay. A chorus in unison. It's like Alabama. The brothers all in perfect harmony. Okay, so thanks for watching. We appreciate it. We have 2 programs. One is called Google Plus Week, which is every Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, when we have our shit together. And the other program is Our Android Week, which you are currently watching. 7 of you at the moment. Most of you watch after the fact, because Under the Dome, which we hate, and we'll all be watching as soon as we're done here. But this
No,
program...
It's also Monday Night Football now, right?
Yeah, which really is great for our programs ratings. We go through the roof. Yeah. Yeah, there's like naked.
Because there's an overlap between those two sets of viewers.
Hey, don't Jason Salas, right? We're all the rage in Guam.
Me, I love football.
Football, tits, and beer. What's that got against? How could that possibly be more appealing than Our Android Week? You know what I'm saying?
Football, tits, and beer sounds really good right now.
You'll always get honesty in our program. We strive for that. And we've solved all the world's problems. Next week, the Middle East. But anyway, this program is Our Android Week. It's every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. I say the term 9 loosely. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on Google Plus and YouTube Live. We thank you for watching. We thank you for the comment or two tonight. We appreciate it. And we acknowledge that we are not, in fact, as sexy as NFL players, but we don't attack anyone in elevators either. So there's that. But thanks for watching. We appreciate it. And until next time, have a wonderful Android week.